Hey everybody, this is John with the Legends of Tabletop podcast. With me tonight I have Vince, back from his brief hiatus in the last mammoth episode that we had. And it's our pleasure tonight to have Oscar Rios from Golden Goblin Press with us.
It's my pleasure to be here. Thanks for having me on.
Definitely, definitely.
Indeed.
And Oscar has a Kickstarter coming up next Tuesday, I believe, the 9th, or Wednesday.
Uh, uh, it's technically the first second of Wednesday. So Tuesday night, midnight EST, I go live.
All right, and that's
Tales. Really, it's Tuesday.
Yep. And that's Tales of the Caribbean, Cthulhu in the Caribbean. So what was the inspiration to bring the mythos to the Caribbean?
The Tales of series started when I worked at Miskatonic River Press with Tom Lynch.
Oh, okay.
And really what it was is we wanted to make a group of scenarios set in urban New York. And it would all be urban New York and really capture the flavor and the feel of New York. Tom and I are both New Yorkers, both native New Yorkers, and Secrets of New York came out, and we looked over it, and we were like, well, that's interesting. They missed, and we were like, wow, they really didn't. We felt that they didn't get it, and we're like, if we put together a New York book, it would be great. And we put together a New York book, and I think it was a really, great project, and very interesting, and had a lot of fun doing it. And from there, we had said, well, what city would be next? What location has such, a great feel and its own little, like there are places that are like unlike any other place.
Mm-hmm.
There are lots of cities that you can go to, and they're very similar. But there are certain
general feel.
Right, there are certain places that are just completely unique. So we went to New Orleans, and we did Secrets of Tales of the Crescent City, and had a lot of fun doing that. And again, we really wanted to capture the feel of New Orleans, and again had a lot of fun putting that project together. And it was very it's been very popular for Golden Goblin Press. That was our second book out. So now it's our fourth project coming up, and we want to get back to the 1920s, early 30s, the golden era of Call of Cthulhu. And we're looking for another location. Like, where is somewhere that there hasn't been a lot of scenarios or any scenarios written about, somewhere that's interesting and vibrant, fresh ground, an area where the mythology and the urban legends haven't been completely, combed over and trampled upon.
Sure.
Something that if a player has been playing Call of Cthulhu for 20 years, they're going to be like, well, I've never read or run or played a scenario set here or here or here. And in a game as old as Call of Cthulhu, finding new ground is not easy. But I'm ethnically Puerto Rican, and I'm thinking I've always wanted to write something set in Puerto Rico.
Cool.
And we started looking at, not just that one island, but the Caribbean as a whole. And again, there are so many iconic places, Jamaica and Cuba, cities like Havana. And in the 1920s, you've got rum running and the banana republics and Western imperialism and all of these different ethnic groups and traditions, French colonies, British colonies, Dutch colonies. You have all of these, 700 islands with who knows how many ethnic groups and languages and legends and stories. And we were like, we just all started talking, and wouldn't it be great to have a group of adventurers, a group of investigators on a boat, and they just go from one island to the next island to the next island.
Right.
And it became infectious. Then it was like, I got Cuba, and I got the Bahamas.
Key West.
So, yeah. Someone was going to do the Florida Keys, and then they changed and said, well, I'm going to do Havana. And I'm like, well, yeah, of course Cuba is iconic enough. And then I made a list before, when we decided we were going to do it. we made a list of banned topics. And because people think of Caribbean, like, Tales of the Caribbean, they're going to be like, oh, there's going to be sunken pirate treasure, and there's going to be a hurricane, and of course there's going to be deep ones. And we have a motto at the Goblin Lair: if it's the first thing people think of, that's the last thing we're going to do.
There you go.
So I put a list: no deep ones, no lighthouses,
No hurricanes.
No hurricanes, no pirates, and no Bermuda Triangle, which was great because technically the Bermuda Triangle the term hadn't even been coined yet.
Sure.
In the period, and that made people like, oh, so this is going to be a little bit more difficult than we realized. We're not doing pirate deep ones in a hurricane. It's obvious. We're better than that, and if we're not better than that, we're going to try and be better than that.
That sounds like so much fun.
Yeah, I told all of the authors pitching, I love you guys. I invited you to this project. You're really going to need to kick it up. And it was a bloodbath. To be perfectly honest, my scenario was on the maybe list. The first time around, I had to repitch. So, which is funny, getting rejected from your own company.
Right.
But that's fair. I'm just one more in that role. I'm just one more author trying to get into this book.
Sure.
But it was, people pitched 2 and 3 times before we said, okay, that's a concept that hasn't been done. It's original. It's interesting. We'd want to read it. We'd want to play it. So that's definitely something we can put out and be proud of.
Cool.
So we got a pretty interesting lineup. Some faces that have written for us before, and some new people that we've got Dave Solikowski and Jason Williams writing for us for the first time. And back with us are Jeff Muller, myself, Oscar Rios, and Mark Shireman, and hopefully that will grow with stretch goals to include several other, at least 2 more authors.
Awesome.
Knock on wood.
Well, we'll see if we can help with that a little bit by spreading the word. Now, how much research goes into putting together a project like that to go back and look at, the Caribbean in the 20s and 30s and say, all right, well, what do we have to work with? I mean, I have here the book that you gave me at the hotel party. 3/4 of the way through, so this is still to come to review on the website. But reading through the scenarios, there's a lot of not only game information, but I almost feel like you're learning a little bit about ancient Rome. Terminology and
so you get the history.
A little bit, yeah. I mean, it feels that way, at least a little bit to me. That there's a lot of information packed in there, and it's not all just germane to the game. And these are the stats. So how does that work for you?
A lot, and every book we've done, a lot of research goes into it, and that's the some of the most fun. We another Cthulhu cat person.
There you go. It's slapped in the face with a tentacle.
I don't know anybody who's into this that's almost that doesn't at least have 1 cat. So that's hardly the first cat to walk across the podcast.
Well, she's made an appearance, I think, in just about every podcast so far.
Yeah.
Right. So where was I? Research.
Yep.
If you really look at the history, if you look at the culture, if you look at the legends, the scenarios just leap out at you. Mm-hmm. Nothing is really going to grab your imagination and your interest as much as the history and the culture of a particular time and of a particular place. Mm-hmm. If you have no idea, just do some research on the area you're writing, and something amazing has happened. There's some amazing historical figure or historical event, or in one of our scenarios, a geological happening. one person was like, "Hey, there's an active volcano on this island," and he was off. Just gold. So a lot of history, a lot of research does go into all of our books. We're history nerds for the most part.
Sure.
And we're lucky on this one. We've got Jason Williams, who wrote Secrets of Tibet. He's masterful at research. He's finding interesting little tidbits on every island and just posting them on our work page. And so yeah, a lot of it does go. I mean, we don't want to ram history down people's throats. We like to sprinkle the history and the culture throughout the scenario. So it's not just. One of the keys to the Tales of series is that these are stories that cannot be told anywhere else. Mm-hmm. The books in the scenarios in New Orleans only work and make sense there. The New York book, the same thing. They really only work and make sense there. Mm-hmm. If they can be told somewhere else, they're not right for this series. Sure. So the setting and the history is almost, a major NPC. So the history is pretty important, and it's really interesting. Mm-hmm. It's the things you find out and learn doing research. For example, one of our special bonus items is a bonus scenario set in Jamaica. And when I was doing research for that, I realized that reggae music doesn't exist in the 20s and the 30s. Then the steel drum doesn't come about until the 40s. So I'm like, well, what did people listen to? And it was calypso. And I'm like, okay, so it's a calypso band. So it's just little tiny interesting things like that really start to change the stereotypical thinking you have of a place and a time, and transports you more firmly into that history. It's easier to do in a book like the New Orleans and the Caribbean Project than it was for, say, Cthulhu Invictus, where you're looking at history that's thousands of years, removed, but it's still, worth the effort of doing. And it's really one of the joys of putting these projects together, to capture that time capsule of horror and culture and folklore.
Blend it all together, yeah.
Yeah, that's the beauty of it.
Yeah, like you say, it does become like an NPC. It flavors the whole perspective of the individual scenarios or campaign that you're running.
Right.
And that's definitely a cool feel.
We found that it really inspires the players. Because if they're feeling that they're in that time and in that place, more often than not, they really want to push their role playing, expand their characters, and really, run with the pack. This is what the scenario is, and they get into it, and they really start. They're inspired to higher levels of role playing, which I think is wonderful.
Right. It does. I run a D&D game from home here, and most of my players are online. I have a couple people that come to the house, and it's essentially a hack and slash game. That's what they want to do, and we've had conversations about it, and I try to facilitate role playing by giving bonuses, and I'll dress up while I'm here, and all that kind of stuff to try to engage them at another level. And sometimes it's successful, sometimes it's not.
Depends on what you're wearing.
But both ways are valid.
Like John the Baptist, the voice crying out in the wilderness. Doesn't kill a thing.
Yeah.
But yeah, we've all been there.
Right.
With Cthulhu Invictus, especially, a lot of players come into it and like, oh, it's really accessible. It's just like D&D. And the first thing we tell them is, it's illegal to carry bladed weapons openly in ancient Rome. And they're like, what? They're like, yeah, you're not even allowed to walk around with a knife. They have very strict weapon laws.
Right.
And well, I want to keep my short sword. I'm like, well, what's your conceal score?
Now hiding in my toga.
I didn't put any points in conceal. I said, well, can I conceal my battle axe? Well, no, no, you can't. Well, can I wear my armor? Like, no, So it's like, then they're transported into that historical headspace.
Right.
I'm not just some guy, going into the tavern with my sword on my back and a bow. I'm a citizen of a cosmopolitan multinational empire with, very strict, legal system and, central government. So no, it's not the Wild West with swords. It's a lot more to it than that.
Right.
And again, some players will either walk away frustrated or, they'll
really get into it.
Okay, we're on another level here, so let's do this.
Yeah.
Well, that's when you tell them they can wear all those things if they're 1,000 miles from the capital in the middle of the woods fighting, Picts or whatever.
Yeah, that's fine. As soon as you're away from a major urban center, do whatever you want. Don't think you're walking down the street with your full kit on.
Right.
Unless you're an active duty soldier, which almost no one ever is.
Yeah, well, there's with that sort of a game, I don't know that there's that. I mean, not that there's not fun in it, but it's a different mindset. To play that sort of a scenario if everybody's just the soul. I mean, unless the scenario is specifically set up for that,
right.
That's a little rough.
Oh no, nothing against that. I mean, Lord knows I've played my fair share of D&D, and loved it, and still long for that long-term D&D campaign. It's just I'm too busy running and writing Call of Cthulhu stuff to really go back to that. But no, it is a beautiful thing, but it's not this thing. This thing is this thing, and that thing is that thing, and you can do both, but you don't want to do one and the other. The investigative narrative role-playing doesn't work well in a Pathfinder game. I know, I've tried, and it's not a good fit.
Well, I think it's either out now or it's going to be coming out. Their new adventure path is a Lovecraftian themed thing, I think, right? I mean, they have stats for Cthulhu and the whole 9 yards. I'm not sure what the name of it is, but I thought that their new adventure path was that. I mean, maybe not investigative so much, but a mythos-oriented kind of thing. I probably should have did some research into that.
Oh, that'll be interesting to see.
Yeah. So you mentioned you played D&D. Are you in any sort of a game going right now? Any kind of campaign or anything, or are you pretty much just focusing on the business?
The good thing about Golden Goblin Press is we try and play test everything we put out, and we're trying to put out at least one book a year. So I'm constantly running Call of Cthulhu. I have a great group of my home team playtesters, which are about 25 players that I can call on at any time.
Oh, wow.
And say, okay, who's available this weekend? And I'll get 4 or 5 out of that rich pool. So in a way, that's my regular everyday thing. That's where I get my fix for role playing.
Sure.
Play testing and writing for what we're putting out. And I do freelance writing now and again, so those will get played and play tested as well. But as for just fun shits and giggles, role playing, nope. But not that the play testing isn't fun, because if it is, I mean it's amazingly rewarding and enjoyable. But it's usually we're running something that we're developing for release.
Sure. It's still work. You're taking notes and you're checking mechanics and all that kind of stuff.
Yeah, well, but it's work. It's work, and you're doing all of that, but you're also sitting around a table with 4 to 6 of your closest friends having a few beers,
Mm-hmm.
you know, how much work is really going into this? If I'd never written a scenario, it's pretty much the same thing I'd be doing anyway. I'd be
Sure.
running and writing games for my friends for no particular reason,
Right.
which is what I did for a really long time. And then people were just like, these are really good. You should write them down. And eventually I listened, and I started writing for the industry.
So how long have you been doing this then professionally? Like, how long have you been together? I know you said you work with Miskatonic Press.
I've been doing this professionally, I guess you could say, for about 12 years now.
Okay, cool.
I started as a convention rep for Chaosium through a program called the Missionary Program that they would hook you up with convention reps, people who are putting together blocks of gaming at cons. And Chaosium would be like, yeah, we've got somebody that we could send and run Call of Cthulhu for that gaming con in your area. And they'd get one of us, and then we'd go and do it. So I did that for a while, maybe a year. And what was great about that is they really encouraged us to start writing our own material for the team. So I wrote a few scenarios, and they were for the team. Anybody could run it. Any member of the team could run it anywhere in the world. Then it was, and whichever is the best scenario for this quarter gets like a $50 Chaosium gift certificate.
Cool.
And I'm like, wow, we can get free stuff for writing scenarios. So as soon as I won, one quarter and got my $50 gift certificate, I was hooked, and I've been writing scenarios ever since.
Yeah.
And at this point, I think it's up to about 73, 74 scenarios.
Wow.
They're not all published, but I'm very nerdy, anal retentive. I keep track. I have a master list of all of them.
Well, Thulu approves. I can see him over your shoulder there, up there on the shelf. He's watching you.
Well, yeah.
He's all squishy and fuzzy.
Monitoring everything you say. There you go.
We have classes.
There you go.
And this one was I got for my daughter, and her name is Pixie.
It looks like something from Babar.
Yeah. My kids are weird. They've grown up with this stuff.
They bring that to show and tell. You get parents,
Yeah.
get notes sent home with what is your child doing with the weird puppet?
That's good.
The funny part was, I think 2 years ago at my daughter's school, they were asking, well, what do your parents do?
Oh boy.
My dad's a horror writer, and he's put out a couple of books, and her teacher said she was lying. So the next day,
No.
she shows up with like 2 books with her dad's name, and her, her teacher was like, "Oh, I'll be damned! You weren't kidding. Your dad actually is." I told them you were a writer, and nobody believed me. I'm like, "What?" So
Yeah, I'll show them.
My daughter's pretty proud. My son's 20. He
doesn't bring you to show and tell anymore.
No.
Do your kids play at all? Do you have them involved in any kind of?
My son steadfastly refused to ever play, and way too cool. My daughter has actually just played her first game of Call of Cthulhu with me a few weeks ago.
Nice.
Cool.
And she survived. Not everyone did. But her character ended up with malaria and was almost killed by and at the end of the scenario, she was infected with malaria and was in a coma from a banana spider bite.
Whoa.
And at the end of it, she goes, "Well, what is malaria?" And explaining it to her, and she goes, "Well, can I get cured?" I'm like, "Well, technically there is no cure for malaria. It will come back from time to time again." And she goes, "Uh-huh, I'm making a new character. I'm not playing this one again. I'm going to roll something." I'm like, "It's treatable." She goes, "Nope, I'm done. I spread my points too thinly. I'm not really good at anything. I'm making a new character." It was a lot of fun, playing with her for the first time. And again, she's just turned 13, so she played like a 16-year-old Nancy Drew girl kind of reporter, girl detective.
Right.
So she's already ready to play test her next game. So,
Nice.
And my wife is a longtime gamer and play tester. She's been gaming with me for over 20 years and has play tested some of the biggest things I've written. My wife was one of my play testers for the Legacy of Arius Lurko and played the entire campaign.
Cool.
So yeah, my wife's a hardcore gamer.
That's nice when you share that kind of interest. Yeah.
I'm very blessed that way.
Yeah, I didn't. I wasn't into gaming as much when I was younger, and when I got married, it wasn't really something that was on the table. And when 4E came out, I got back into it hardcore. I was on a podcast that's now defunct, and I'm on an actual play called the Dragon Fisters, and now we're doing our thing, and that didn't cause the demise of my relationship, but it certainly was a contributing factor. When you don't have that shared interest, when you have the kind of passion that most people that game have for gaming, if someone else doesn't get that's can be an issue. So you're very lucky in that regard.
Yeah, I'm very, very lucky when it comes to my family's support. My wife got up early today to go to the post office at 8:30 with me to mail out backer rewards.
Nice.
She did the same thing. She did the same thing last Saturday. So I'm very lucky that I have a very understanding and supportive family for all of our endeavors here at the Goblin Lair.
Cool. That's awesome. Your daughter's. Go ahead.
I'm sorry. Go ahead.
I was going to say the ending of the scenario you ran with your daughter is, I guess, not the typical ending for an investigator to get malaria and go into a coma from a spider bite.
I don't want to give away too many spoilers, but she was playtesting the bonus Jamaica scenario.
Okay.
For the Tales of the Caribbean book. One of our for most of the upper backer levels, you'll get a bonus PDF scenario. That's not going to be in the core book. It's going to be just for the Kickstarter backers.
Cool.
And that one is in Jamaica. And everybody's thinking, oh, it's going to be in Port Royal. And no, it's not going to be in Port Royal. It's not going to involve pirates, because that's what everybody thinks.
No pirates, damn it!
It actually takes place in the Blue Mountains above Kingston in coffee country. Because again, I need my coffee.
Yeah.
So it's an interesting scenario. A lot of the scenarios for this project are not going to be, again, what people instantly expect them to be, but they're really going to be very, very cool and interesting. Based on local folklore, local mythology, a lot of the political climate at the time. The Caribbean in the 20s and 30s, it is just absolutely fascinating politically and socially for what's going on there at the time. And for players who are playing investigators from the United States or Great Britain, American and European powers were very involved in the Caribbean at that time. So, yeah, there'll be a lot of easy ways to access the scenarios, and possibly the campaign. One of our stretch goals is a framework to knit all of the scenarios together as a cohesive Caribbean campaign.
Oh, cool.
I don't know how it's possible, but Jeff Mahler said he can do it, and if that man says he can do it, it will be done. He's that kind of genius. And he says, "Oh, I've got a framework already laid out in my head. I've even made notes." And I'm like, "Don't tell me." I almost feel like you jinx it. So just sit on it, and when we get to that stretch goal, it'll be awesome. And then you tell me, because then I'll be surprised and it'll be awesome. Because I don't think it's possible, but if you say it is, then I'm going to go with you. I'm putting my money on you that we can do this. So that's one of the many stretch goals we've planned.
Nice. That sounds like it'll be an interesting scenario, to say the least.
Yeah.
Now, would you say that?
So what else can I?
No, I was going to say, so with all this being said, is Call of Cthulhu your favorite role-playing game, or do you have another game that you would prefer to play, but this is sort of your bread and butter?
If anybody's going out there wants to find the license for Star Frontiers,
yes,
I would emigrate
If you ever want to get a one-off Star Frontiers game going, you count me in. I grew up with that shit. It's awesome.
Oh my god.
Yes.
That Ultimate, my favorite nerd out RPG of all time.
What was your favorite character?
Oh my! I had a Duralocite.
Yep.
That played
pseudopods.
That played jazz sax. He would dye himself blue, wear a hat, and play jazz saxophone.
That's awesome. You're like what's his face from I love it.
I had a Rusk who was a robotics expert. Forget it. I was all over that.
Sweet.
Wonderful, ridiculous game.
No,
Star Frontier, Call of Cthulhu really is where my heart is. And again, I can say that because there are so many different facets of Call of Cthulhu. If I'm in the mood for that moody gothic, I can do Cthulhu Dark Ages. If I'm doing more in the way of historical, sword and sorcery, I've got Cthulhu Invictus. If I want to do more of a Sherlock Holmes, I've got Cthulhu Dark Age. I've got Cthulhu Gaslight. I've got 1920s. I've got modern.
That's true.
Any story I feel like exploring, I can explore with Call of Cthulhu.
Right.
Of course, they'll all involve cosmic horror at some point, but can't really get away from cosmic horror. That's why it's so horrible.
Yeah.
But yeah, pretty much any kind of story I want to tell, I can tell in the Call of Cthulhu universe because there's so many different facets of it.
Sure. Well, that's cool. And what?
I do have a Call of Cthulhu Star Frontiers crossover game that I wrote.
Oh, wait.
There.
Wait, you have run or you're going to?
Oh, I've run it. It's written.
Shit.
I can send you the files.
I would love to see that. I would love to play that. That's awesome.
It's basically like Sapphire agents are trying to find this lost planet that orbits a star called the Chaos Star.
Okay.
And if they go there, they can petition the Lord of Chaos for 1,000 years of darkness. Nice. And the players are trying to stop these agents from finding this planet. And of course, this planet is Carcosa.
Nice.
And I ran it, and the players were completely into it. And then I break out the hex map for the ship-to-ship battle.
Oh man,
and the players were like, "Are you serious? You have the tiles and the hex?" I was like, "Oh yeah, we're doing it."
No, that's
and some of the younger players are like, "This is ridiculous."
That's
and then,
great.
Like, 10 minutes in, they were completely hooked. I'm like, you have no idea how cool this old school stuff was.
Yeah.
He was at an event a few years ago where it was a big OSR love fest. It was like, we're doing old school Renaissance. And in a way, I was like, well, Call of Cthulhu is old school. It's 35 years old at this point. But I wanted to do something, that really proved that I was both old and a nerd. So
You have to kill two birds with one stone with that one.
So yeah, I ran that, and it was just
Oh, that
hilarious.
sounds like a shitload of fun. Yeah.
You guys are
Yeah.
both too geeky for me. I don't even know what you're talking about.
Star Frontiers is like it's just to me it was always like science fiction D&D, and
Right.
it's just amazing. I'll send you some stuff, John. You'll get a kick out of it.
Okay.
It's really. I think if the marketing had been better, it would have. We'd be hearing a lot more about it now. But
Yeah.
I'm assuming is that a currently defunct system?
For the most part, yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, it's all
It's
over
a
my head.
moment of silence for Star Frontiers.
So Oscar, what was your initiation into gaming itself? Like, did you play like all through high school? Did you jump in at some point later in life? How did that all come about?
I wanted to. I'm a child of the devil worship wars of the early 1980s. When heavy metal music and role-playing games were corrupting the youth of America, and I was one of those kids where like, well, that's really stupid, and I'm going to listen to what I want. I'm going to play the games I want, and I basically told my mom I want this red box set of basic D&D.
Nice.
And she said, well, I'm not buying you that because that's devil worshipping, and if you want that, you're going to have to buy it yourself. So with my birthday money from my 13th birthday, I went and I bought red box basic D&D for like maybe $15 from my local hobby.
Like 1999 or some shit when it came out. And the first, like, I forget what iteration it was, like A and B, like 82 and 83 with the different the box art variants.
Right. Mine was the one with the dragon and the people coming down the stairs holding the torch.
Okay.
But yeah, red box basic D&D.
The Rosloff.
Probably. Yeah, September the first week of September 1993. 1983. It's like, and I've been a gamer ever since. Yeah.
Awesome. I think that's Vince's story for the most part, and some of the other people that we've played with that come in and out of our group have been in from the inception pretty much. And
the red box set, 1983.
Yeah. So I missed out on all that.
You did, sir. You've been deprived. We'll have to send you. We'll have to go on eBay and get you a red box set and ship it to you.
Well, I remember when we started, when you were going out with Joanne, and you were like, "Oh, we should play D&D again," and I had been away from it for a couple of years. We sat down and started to play it. I'm like, "Thaco, what the hell is this crap? How did we play this before? This doesn't make any sense."
Thaco, to hit armor class 0.
It was a rough go, though. That short period of time we played for.
It was fun, though. Good stuff.
It was something. Oh boy.
Yeah, and I never started worshiping the devil. All I ended up with was a college level reading score when I was in ninth grade. So there you go.
Problem solving skills and everything.
Right. Team building, social skills because you're basically sitting at a table talking to people.
Storytelling, everything.
Yeah.
I
Great
brought
way to
this.
grow up.
Yeah, exactly. And I brought this up before. You point out all those different things. I think as a social commentary that gamers kind of get a knock for being, unsocial or, they don't fit in or they're awkward or whatever. But again, it's like the most social thing that you could possibly do. You're at a table with, 3 to 6 or 7 people and you're working together and you're, playing in character and you're engaging with other people. And I think it's an unfair knock that the community has gotten as a whole over the course of years and years. But
it certainly teaches you how to talk to people, how to be social, how to be considerate. other people in a group and in a conversation. I think that we're basically raising, there's a whole generation of people that don't have those same levels of social skills because everything with them is, texting and FaceTime, and they're on their handhelds. They don't have that face-to-face around a table interaction.
Right.
There is some magic of, sharing a beer, sitting across from somebody at a table, in the same place, making that time commitment to take time out of your life to share a few magical hours with a group of people.
Right.
I love running games at cons. I can sit down with 6 total strangers, and for 4 hours, these are 6 of my closest friends.
Right.
And you have that wonderful experience, not always, but for the most part, you have that wonderful experience, and you all leave fulfilled. And, then you see them at another con, or, in my case, you end up starting companies with them. 2 of the people I work with at Golden Goblin Press, I've met through gaming conventions.
Wow.
Our chief editor, Lisa Paddle, is a D&D friend of mine, Call of Cthulhu friend of mine from the con circuit, and Mark Shireman, he used to run Cthulhu Live LARPs that I played in.
Nice.
And when we were starting the company, it's like, well, I've done professional level editing. I was like, no, I haven't. Didn't know that. I do. I do graphic design professionally. I'm like, I didn't know that, Mark.
Right.
So, yeah, you have this great network of people when you're a gamer, because you know people. That's all. That's really at the core. It's a community of people.
Right. And the Necronomicon is a good extrapolation of that. So the guys that I actual play podcast with, the Dragon Fisters, they're all kind of up in that area there. So when I decided to go, I said, hey, I'm going to be out that way if you think you can make it. And to a man, except for one guy that I hadn't gamed with the group, they all came up to hang out. And if nothing else would have came out of the convention other than that, it would have been worth it, because it's the camaraderie and getting to hang out with people like that, because we've been playing for a couple of years and never met face to face before. I mean, it's all,
right.
The wonder of the internet. You can meet people from all over and play games and hang out. And everybody at the convention, for the most part, was very welcoming, very approachable. Everybody was, you could just walk up, you walk up to you. Hey, Oscar, I'm in your room at a party. I know you don't know me, but hey, why don't you come on my podcast?
And I'm like, sure, that's great. Have you fixed yourself a drink yet?
Yeah.
That was a great party. I was so pleased with the turnout.
No, go ahead. I'm sorry.
Go ahead, please. No, please.
I was on my way up, and I get up there. I'm like, oh, what the fuck? And the guy's like, shh. I'm like, what difference does it make now? You're getting. I have to be quiet now.
And the funniest thing for me. Go ahead.
No, that's all right. That was it. That's the anecdote. I missed it because
the funny thing was, I'm in the party and I'm talking to, I think I was talking to Chad maybe, and I'm texting Vince and I'm like, hey, are you coming up or what? Like,
I'm on my way. I'm like,
so I'm on my way. I'm like, all right, cool. I'll see you in a couple. And it was like right after that it just got super, super quiet. And I looked around the corner. I said, oh no, he's knocking on the door. Nobody knows who he is, and everybody's like, who the fuck is this guy?
Yeah.
And I look around the corner, and it's the security guard. I was like, oh, at least it wasn't Vince.
Well, when I get up there, the guy, he's like, it's too noisy. I'm like, oh, he's like, it happens. I mean, they really weren't too agitated about it. They were kind of laughing a little bit. So.
Yeah, we were a good-natured bunch when security came. We were like, hey, we're gonna clear it out. My wife actually answered the security when they knocked and said, okay, I'll break it up. And they said, no, miss, we're gonna have to stay here and make sure everyone leaves. So it was a supervised party ending.
It's kind of cool. And they have cachet.
we told everybody, everybody filed out, and I think went to the Red Fez and kept drinking.
There you go.
Oh, I
And
didn't know that.
we offered the security guards beer. Hey, can we give you, you want a beer? I'm like, no, we're not allowed to have it. But yeah, it was great. It was one of those old school convention room parties, and everyone, people who came were bringing snacks and extra beverages. People I don't even know made ice runs.
Yeah.
And there were some amazingly talented people there. I was so happy to have them all in one place. I was just thrilled to talk shop with people I have worked with and admired their work, for so many years. And again, a couple of drinks and talking, nerd talk,
Right.
it was like we'd all gone to college together.
Right.
We all immediately realized how much in common we all had.
Mm-hmm.
And I think that was the magic of that party and the community as a whole. I think the party is a great example of the community. And just to prove one point, this is Pickles.
The Pickles.
Listeners followed me up.
Yep.
But yeah, it was a great room party. I was so thrilled at how well it went. And then my wife,
we got kicked out.
We were joking. That's a great party, but it's only 8.9. It won't be 10 unless security comes and breaks it up, and then 11:30.
It's
security. I'm like, are you kidding me?
Yeah.
Okay, now it's happening.
Well, it was funny because, I talked to Chad beforehand, and I said, are you guys going to do any sort of a meetup? Because I'd like to get to hang out and, just kind of talk shop a little bit. And he says, oh, yeah, well, we're probably going to do something on Saturday. So Saturday rolled around, and we're standing downstairs at the lobby of the Biltmore, and, Vince was trying to run to another thing we had going. And I said, well, where are we going? He said, well, we're going to go up to Oscar's room. I'm like, really? Like, is that cool? Like, I could go? Like, I don't know. Oh, yeah, we'll go up. And then, like you said, there's so many people.
On our Facebook page.
Yeah, well, he said when we were on the way up, yeah. So I was like, oh, this is really cool. And I turn around, and Adam Scott Clancy's, like, holding court next to me, and Mike Mason was tooling around, and Chad and Murph were there, and you were there. And, yeah, it was pretty amazing. I said to Vince, I said, well, this might be like a real third wheel kind of thing. I said, so if it doesn't fly, like I'll catch you downstairs. But oh man, it was so much fun.
Sounds like you had a blast, you bastards. I missed out on it.
I told you.
Stop being so noisy.
Well, one of my favorite moments was somebody said, oh, this person and this person didn't, they didn't come to the party. And somebody said, oh, well, the literary types are supposed to be having like a wine and cheese party at the
time. All quiet and shit.
It was like all original gamer nerds, and all like the respectable writers were doing something else. And then all of a sudden, Cody Goodfellow walks in.
Yeah, Cody was there. Yeah.
With his hat and his Hawaiian shirt. And he's like, hey, can I get some beats? And I'm like. Cody Goodfellow's at my room party. How awesome, how epic is this?
That's
and
really
he's
cool.
Drinking, hanging out, and I'm like, oh, this is so awesome. Again, such a fan of his for so many years, and then he's in my room. He's in my room, just drinking and hanging out. And it was Jeff Muller's 50th birthday, and his wife had brought this Godzilla-themed birthday cake.
Yep.
It was Godzilla in a prom dress.
I missed the Godzilla birthday cake?
You did?
Yes, you missed Godzilla.
Damn it.
And there was cake.
Oh.
It was pretty crazy. I tell you what, it was hot as hell in there, that's for sure.
Well, we had the windows open and the air cranking.
Yeah.
But
wow.
It was just too much booze and bullshit in one small room.
No such thing. Now that was your first Necronomicon, wasn't it?
No, we were there in 2013.
Oh, okay.
When we were just a new company starting out, we had one book out, We were planning. We already had plans for our second Kickstarter. Was about to launch, and we were starting to talk to people about our third book. I remember having a conversation with Penelope Love about possibly doing Dahara Cosmico, and she said, "Oh, I'd love to do a Charles Dexter Ward version of, in for Cthulhu Invictus." And again, 2 years later, that book is out. And again, we were talking about doing it at one Necronomicon. 2 years later, the book is out. The fiction book is about, had been released on PDF. We're planning our fourth Kickstarter. So for us, it was, a really great moment in time to see how much, how far we'd come in those 2 years from just starting out to really starting to find our feet as a company.
Right. That's awesome. And it's a good community. I mean, it's a very niche community, but I mean, everybody that's involved is in with both feet. I mean, everybody wants to see us succeed, and they're into the game, and they're into the literature, and they're in for everything. So
right.
It's a very well-supported community. At least I like to think, anyway.
It is. I mean, there are one or two people that have caused some difficulties, but they're very, very few and far between. For the most part, it's a wonderful, mutually supportive community.
Yeah, definitely.
Very welcoming.
Yep, the convention was great. We're planning on going back in 2017. Want to be even better than it was. This time. I mean, this was only my second convention. My only other convention was to go to PAX, and that was PAX East. I don't know, 35,000 people or something like that.
Had to be more than that, because when I went in 2011, there was over 120. So.
Was it that many? No, it can't be.
Yeah. It was.
I know there was a lot of people.
It was between that entire weekend, between 70 and 120,000 people rolled through.
Yeah. I didn't think it was that big.
It was insane, and it was very smelly.
Yeah.
I have to say that Necronomicon tends to be one of the most hygienic group of gamers.
Yes, they are. Yeah, I know, right? Seriously.
Yeah.
Well, because I think we're all average about 10 years older than most. We're an older crowd.
Right.
More sophisticated.
And we definitely have better hygiene because of it.
We do. Yeah.
Now, do you do a lot of other conventions as well, or is Necronomicon like your big one for the year?
Yeah, I do a New England circuit now. I've been doing Kineticon for many years now. That's one of my favorite cons.
Excuse me.
More so now that my daughter is doing cosplay now, so it's a huge cosplay gamer con, Kineticon. I've started doing Carnage in November. I've
heard about
been
that one.
doing. Oh, we went last year. Had a great time. We're going again this year.
Cool.
We've done Total Con outside of Boston. We do lots of little regional cons. I have a rep program of my own called the Minions of the Black Stone. So we've got people running games for us in Jersey. I think somebody's one of our guys, Shannon, is running Cthulhu Invictus tomorrow in the Bay Area at Celesticon, I think, or something such. We as a company we run games at cons all the time. And personally, I go to probably about 4 or 5 cons a year. This year I did a little bit more because I was promoting the Caribbean book as heavily as I could. So I was at Origins and Necronomicon, all those others.
Cool.
Oh, and Philly Game Con, they did a new con out of right outside of Philadelphia. First year, great organization. Looking forward to going back next year. But yeah, cool. If I can drive to it, I'll consider going.
Right.
Getting me on a plane is a little bit harder, but I'll do that. If I can.
Have you done? I think it's called Metatopia. Isn't that in New York there? I know the Fandible podcast, they
Yeah,
go to that one.
yeah, I've heard it's great, but I haven't gone yet.
Hmm.
I used to do that con circuit a lot, the New Jersey cons, but I started doing the more northerly, the New England cons. A lot of the conventions in New Jersey and Connecticut are the same weekends,
Oh,
so we
okay.
usually split them. And John will take Jersey, and I'll take Connecticut. So
Gotcha.
haven't
Okay.
done those yet. But Lisa does Metatopia religiously. Lisa Paddle, she's our chief editor.
Cool. Cool.
Sweet.
And the other current product that you have out right now is the Horror Cosmico. The fiction line is out now, or the fiction book is out.
Yeah, the fiction book is out. We're selling physical copies. It is available on EPUB and PDF through our website. It's called Tales of Cthulhu Invictus. It's 9 stories set in the universe of Cthulhu Invictus. So cosmic horror in Rome. We're very pleased with it. Brian Salmon's put together a really great and interesting collection. And it's just getting out there now. So we haven't had any reviews of it, but people have really been looking forward to it, and you know, we hope that this will be the start of something really special. We have hopes. Another one of our stretch goals for Tales of the Caribbean is going to be a fiction collection set in the 20s and 30s in the Caribbean. So it'll be cosmic horror in the Caribbean. And Brian's completely on board, would love to put together another fiction collection for us. So I think, you know, a fiction book and a RPG book hand in hand, it's just a really wonderful combination. Then again, I really got into, you know, during second edition D&D, they had, you know, the Harper series, and they had, you know, the Dalelands and Icewind Dale trilogy and the Dragonlance books. So for me, the fiction and the gaming is very natural for me.
Goes hand in hand, yeah.
Yeah, so I'd love to get back to that. One of the things we try and live by at Golden Goblin Press is updated old school. It's all the stuff that was really cool and wonderful when we first started gaming.
Right.
And we're going to update it. We're going to update the writing style, make it more modern and accessible. But there's no reason it can't be just as cool.
Right.
You know, sure. You know, gamers are a lot more sophisticated now, and you know the scenario, the railroad scenarios that we all grew up with. Nobody's going to want to play those because we're all so much more into a sandbox environment and go anywhere, do anything. But there's no reason you can't have that same old school style and rhythm.
Right.
So producing fiction books alongside as companion tomes to the gaming material is something that we're hoping to continue doing if the fan support is there with if the backer support is there with the Kickstarter.
Right. And that's interesting. I don't think anybody else is doing anything like that right now, right?
No,
supporting them.
Which is why we're trying to do it.
Yeah.
We're there's new ground. There's untapped potential if you really look and try. And we're not reinventing the wheel. We're just remembering what we as gamers loved about gaming. And somehow, you know, we've lost some things. You know, somehow we're no longer doing the same level of you know, support to the fan base. You know, the same level of creativity and originality. And there are people doing amazing work out there. And, you know, we as a company want to be one of those companies doing amazing work. But it's hard to compete because, again, there's so many talented people. So we're really trying to find ourselves as a company. And I think we're really starting to come into focus now. You know, we really feel like we know ourselves as a company.
Mm-hmm.
And we're having a lot of fun. And the fans have been great. You know, they've supported 3 funded Kickstarters in a row. We have great expectations for the 4th one. And we already have the fifth and sixth kind of planned.
Wow.
Knock
Nice.
on wood, if support is there. We already have two other Kickstarters kind of in loose pre-production for 2017 and 2018.
Cool.
If the fan support is there, we hope to be doing this for many, many years.
Now, do you think this is the new business model for gaming going forward? Is Kickstarter? I mean, Chaosium's had massive success with Orient Express, and you guys have had a couple successful Kickstarters now yourself. Do you think that the old way of just putting out books and hoping people are going to buy them like Wizards does, and obviously they have the dollars to be able to do that and change their system every couple of years. But for a smaller press, do you think this is it?
For smaller press, I really don't think you have much of a choice anymore. If you don't have that huge war chest to put out a quality product, you're just not going to be able to compete and to really stand, as being something worthwhile. And again, I think a lot of gamers are looking at Kickstarter to do their shopping. To them, Kickstarter is the catalog for new products to order. This is where they look for marketing. This is where they find out about the exciting new project. And again, if you run a Kickstarter correctly, it can have a very community feel. Your backers can become part of the project.
Sure.
Not just a witness to it, but along for the ride, along for the journey. They can see it, go from concept to funded, and then grow through stretch goals and be a part of that and be rewarded by it. As the stretch goals are achieved, they get a bigger book. They get lots of little side things. I mean, we've had everything from Mardi Gras beads and art prints to voodoo dolls and little statuettes and death masks and posters.
Cool. Nice.
We love the crunchy bits. For the next project, we're having vintage replica postcards, and on the back of the postcards are going to be messages from NPCs that are hooks for some of the scenarios.
Oh, cool.
Oh, that's neat. Clues and stuff.
One of the stretch goals we're most excited about is a companion PDF called Golden Goblin Press's Guide to the Caribbean, which is going to be hopefully about 20 to 30,000 words, just describing the different regions of the Caribbean, the different island groups and the people and languages and currencies, to kind of just be that companion guidebook. We did something similar with the New Orleans book. We added a whole chapter of a guide to the city. So
Cool.
This time we're doing something a little bit larger, hopefully, if the stretch goals are there, to really buff it out. So again, this could be, the core book, a companion PDF that's a Caribbean setting guide, and a possible fiction collection. If the fans really want to take this journey as far as we can, we're going to have a whole framework of awesome lined up and
Cool.
ready to we know where we want to go, and how far we go is up to our backers. But we're ready to do good work for them.
Yeah, it sounds fantastic. I mean, that's a hell of a lineup.
Yeah.
That's for sure.
And then there's lots of other things. We're hoping one of our stretch goals is I think about 4 or 5 deck plans of boats, so that players can have their own vessels to go from island to island, almost like a basic operation.
Cool.
Yeah.
Scott David Anielowski, the author of Malleus Monstorum. One of our stretch goals is having him put together a half dozen or so Caribbean creatures. So there'll be a stack of new Caribbean monsters.
I'm sensing a new monster compendium. Ooh.
He would love. He would put out a second, volume of that in a second. Scott loves making monsters.
That'd be great. Really I love that stuff with the in-depth the ecology and the picture and their social structure.
Yeah, he's great at that. So we're really hoping we make a bunch of these stretch goals. And we have 2 other scenarios lined up. So the core book could go from 5 to 7.
Okay.
With stretch goals.
Cool.
And those will be chapters in Haiti, and I believe Montserrat.
And there won't be any zombies in Haiti, right? Because that goes totally against what everybody would expect.
Voodoo? There's no voodoo? Come on. No serpent in the rainbow?
I will say this. Serpent in the Rainbow is an amazing movie.
Yeah, it is.
And I'm personally a big fan of it. So there may not be the typical undead, flesh-eating zombie, but
the whole Datura, yeah.
I didn't say that zombies were on that restricted list.
Nice.
Well, they're not zombie. They're not undead. They're zombie-like.
Right there. Yeah. There are people who have lost their soul and are now being controlled by a zombie master. Because
there you go.
There's a zombie master. But if the backers want to go to Haiti and find out what
we're going to Haiti. Yes.
If they get us to that stretch goal, we will deliver on a scenario.
You hear that, everyone listening? You're going to Haiti, you bastards.
Yeah, Haiti. And I will also give all of your listeners and watchers, if they're watching live, a sneak preview. We're partnered up with Shagat.net quite a bit. We're really good friends with Matt Wiseman, and every October he does Octobernomicon, where he puts out a bunch of free monsters, like one a day. This year there have one free scenario a week. And right before the end of my Kickstarter, I am donating a scenario to Octobernomicon, and that scenario is set in Martinique.
Oh, okay.
So there's going to be a free Caribbean scenario on Shoggoth.net, I believe October 2nd or so. Hold on. October 2nd or 3rd. So if players are really, ready to go to the Caribbean, the first scenario that'll take them there will be on Shoggoth.net in early October, just before the end of the Kickstarter.
Nice.
So,
very cool.
And that's just out there. That's just for the fans, to get them excited, to say thank you for supporting us. Knock on wood. Hopefully we'll by then. But yeah, so that will be out there. And I actually play tested that at Necronomicon.
Oh, did you?
Yeah. I was supposed to run the Jamaica scenario, but I may have been a little hungover on Sunday morning. And to play test a new scenario, I'm really excited because no one's ever played it, and it kind of pumps you up. And I'd run the Jamaica scenario like 3 times already, so I figured if I ran the brand new one for the first time, it would pump me up enough to get through it, because, again, I may have been a little overserved the previous evening during the room party. And my players were like, you can be the very first players ever to play this? Well, sure, we don't mind swapping out.
Yeah.
And it went very, very well. So I think fans are going to be in for something a little interesting.
Cool. Yeah, we didn't do any gaming while we were there. There was so much other stuff going on, but hopefully next time we'll have to try to get in on some kind of a scenario.
Yeah, that's the worst thing about Necronomicon, that doesn't last a full week.
Yeah.
Because there is.
Yeah. Well, officially, it doesn't last a full week.
I mean, the panels and the dealer's room and just being in that city and all of the sites and
it's too short. It's too short. Yeah.
I was there on Thursday and again flew right by. By Sunday, it was like I didn't see or do half the things I'd wanted to.
Right.
But again, I had no regrets. I loved every minute I was there.
Oh yeah. Like you said,
every minute was well spent.
Yeah, not just the con, but great city.
Some of that's got to be spent, taking a nap in the afternoon because
passing out.
It's grueling. It's grueling. Yeah, I've got a game to run. I may actually need to sleep.
Right.
Save my voice a little bit. But so yeah, we're really excited about this Caribbean project. It's an area that hasn't been explored by the community yet. There's amazing, interesting stories to be told, and we've really got some talented authors ready to tell those stories. It's going to be a beautiful book. We've got Mark Shireman back from doing layout and art design. He had handled Tales of the Crescent City for us, and we have Steph Michaelia doing our maps, and Ruben Dodd doing our cover and illustrations. Cool. Again, the same creative art team from the Tales of the Caribbean book. That was a beautiful book that we were really very, very proud of, and we've got that whole team back. We're getting the band back together for the third Tales book.
Cool. Definitely cool. All right, well, we will definitely get the link posted up when the Kickstarter goes live. Drive some people over there towards that. I'll get a review of the Horror Cosmico of the role-playing scenarios. We'll get that up here shortly. As soon as I can finish reading it.
Like the Loch Ness Monster.
Well, this is the other cat. I guess he's jealous. He's got to get on here, too.
I want my 5 minutes of fame.
Yeah.
Equal time for orange cats.
You're right. Soulless ginger cats. Don't step on the keyboard.
Oh my God! What the?
See, he's not good. The other one's good. This one's dumb.
This is like I'm all over the place. That's right.
So, do you have any parting thoughts? I should probably start to wrap this thing up here.
Yeah.
No, my mind's a blank.
Here we go. We do have something for you.
Okay, shoot.
The final five. I know, right? The final five, John.
All right, yeah, we have a thing. We'll roll it out. You'll be our first guinea pig here.
You're our guinea pig for this.
We have a thing called the final five here, and it's
set the bar ridiculously high. You'll never be able to do this bit again.
Well, they're binary questions. So just kind of like you don't have to elaborate.
Okay.
Yes or no, or give it one.
You can if you want.
But you can if you want.
Can I phone a friend?
You can totally phone a friend. Yes.
Sure. We originally planned this to be completely nerd-related questions, and we kind of got stuck at 3 and then just threw some other things in. So it's a work in progress.
Up till now hasn't been nerd-related?
Yeah.
That's true. We might as well stick with the format.
All right, here we go. We'll do these rapid fire unless you want to elaborate. So, Star Trek or Star Wars?
Star Wars. I grew up on that. I love the socialist utopia is great, but nothing beats good space opera.
Exactly.
Yeah. Yes. Yeah. Cowboys in space.
That's it.
All right. Tabletop or video games?
Tabletop.
Yeah. I think that's a moot point.
Yeah. We had to ask it. You never know.
All right. Coffee or tea?
Coffee.
Coffee. Yeah, I agree.
Without a doubt of hesitation.
All right. I have beer or wine as number 4.
All the above.
Wine. I love myself some ridiculously sweet Riesling or a nice wine. Wine.
Yep. All right. And DC or Marvel?
That's a tough one.
Marvel.
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 Okay. See, I grew up with most of the DC
I
stuff.
like to have fun. When Superman kills more civilians as collateral damage than Godzilla, I'm out.
Yeah.
I'm out.
I'm done. I'm done.
I don't care how they want to justify that. Godzilla killed less civilians in his than Superman did in his. So
Yeah.
no, you guys lost me. I'm done.
Oh, that's pretty funny.
Give me a talking tree and a raccoon with a machine gun any day of the week.
That's right. That movie was fucking. Oh, it's amazing.
See, I didn't. My ex and her kid.
Dude, it watched like you were reading a novel, if that makes any sense. It was so set up so well, and the fights were just, good lord, you have to watch it. You haven't watched it yet?
No, well, that's what I'm saying. They had it on, and I was doing something else.
Tell him, Oscar. Tell him.
For what I saw,
like what?
I didn't care for it.
How could you not watch Guardians of the Galaxy?
I know.
The mixtape alone. the nod to Indiana Jones.
4 times today.
Hey, I'm with the not the new Batman because I can't stand what's his face. He's terrible. But
Bale?
the Christian Bale Batman was fantastic.
He
was good at
fucking
that.
word he was saying.
Well, the third one though was the Bane.
Well, yeah.
The Joker one was the best one.
The first one and the second one were great.
Yeah.
And there hasn't been a good DC movie since.
Yeah.
I am sending you. I'm gonna ship you a Guardians of the Galaxy, and then you're gonna email a detailed report to Oscar and I.
I guess so.
We're gonna have another hangout here. And we're gonna discuss.
Just talk about Guardians of the Galaxy.
Exactly. You can
I just watch Lord of the Rings instead?
No. Well, you can, but you have to follow it up with a chaser of Guardians of the Galaxy.
Well, maybe that's our other question then. Oh, another question. Sci-fi or fantasy?
I'm going to throw this at you guys.
Right.
Lord of the Rings or Game of Thrones?
Lord of the Rings. Although
Yeah,
I am
Rings.
enjoying watching Game of Thrones.
I'm
a diehard Lord of the Rings Tolkien fan since I could start reading with The Hobbit when I was a young lad. So, but I have to say, although I can't read the books, I tried and I'm like, I can't do it. I'm sorry, Mr. Martin, I can't do it.
Well, the problem with Game of Thrones is it's still not over. I mean, he's still in the process of writing, and I hesitate to start a series as epic as that is if there's potentially going to be no resolution.
Shut up and watch it.
No, I watched the HBO. I like the HBO show. It was great. HBO does. I mean, I don't have HBO for movies. I have HBO to watch TV series. And Star is the same thing. Spartacus was great, and what the hell was the one set in the 50s? I can't think of the name of it now. Magic City was great, and then they pulled the rug out from under you, like, oh, it's over. What? Good show. But I digress.
I still haven't forgiven HBO for Deadwood, Carnival, and Rome.
Yeah, Rome too. Rome was
break
fantastic.
My heart once. You can break my heart twice. After you break my heart 3 times, screw you. I'm not watching Game of Thrones.
Fuck you all.
Because as soon as I start watching it, the minute I like it, they'll cancel it. So F you, HBO. Got me 3 times. You're not getting me 4.
You have to watch it in a dark room and not have any comments about it, so they don't know.
I thought I saw something online that they may be doing a wrap for Deadwood. They may be doing like a one-shot, like maybe a movie-esque kind of thing to sort of wrap.
Like 5 years older now. How is that going to work? I mean, you know.
I don't know.
Awesome, and that was gone.
Well,
it's like Rome.
The thrill is gone.
Well, it happens.
It does.
Yeah. 3 times, but it won't be 4.
But
it happens a lot.
But True Blood, which started
I'm
off...
not bitter. Oh, no.
Well, and something like True Blood lasted for whatever it was, 6 or 7 seasons, and out of all that, it probably only had 2 seasons that were any good.
Ugh.
I haven't seen it yet, and that's next on my list.
We watched it, but
I keep hearing just where like watch the first season, and then that's it or something.
it got kind of real goofy at some points. But
did they actually bring like fairies and werewolves into that and stuff?
They did.
What?
Yeah. Fairies, werewolves. Yeah.
Oh, you're losing me already.
Witches. Yeah.
You're losing me. There's a cat in the background eating some shit.
Yeah, he's eating Simba's food.
That's disgusting.
Yeah. Well, he's stupid. I tell him all the time I want to punch him.
I'm gonna punch you right in the throat.
Yeah, I think he knows you're bluffing.
Yeah.
He does. He's like, I don't care.
Yeah.
I'm gonna continue eating the food on the counter. Oh yes.
Yeah, I'm just a big softy.
Oh. We won't tell anyone. Oops, too late.
Yeah. Well, the one person that's watching, I guess they know now.
Is there one person watching?
Yeah.
Hello, one person that's watching.
Hi, Mom.
I know, right? We get a lot of views after the fact.
Yeah,
Okay.
we usually don't do too good live, but afterwards it.
I think the fact that we need to. Well, this one's been scheduled a little bit more in advance than the others have, so people get more of a notice. But I think if we schedule about like a week out and they give like constant updates and reminders, that'll be a little bit better. So.
Well, that's kind of what I've been doing for the last 3 days.
Oh, okay. Well, never mind. I don't know what I'm talking about.
But this is the first time that we've really done that.
Yeah. So, but the watching later after the fact and the MP3 downloads are a lot. You see a lot of traffic that way.
Yep. So this is currently live right now, and it'll be up on the website. What we'll do is rip this audio and post it up Tuesday to lead into the Kickstarter.
Mm-hmm.
So you get this, and then another bump from the MP3. Hopefully, drive some people towards Kickstarter. And like I said, we'll post the link, and we'll do all that stuff. So I guess that's probably it then. We don't have a good way to end these things. It's kind of like, I guess we're probably finished.
Just start cueing music or something.
we should probably plan something a little bit more epic.
This is a lot of fun.
Well, I appreciate you coming on and spending some time. I appreciate the inclusiveness of Necronomicon and being able to come out and I didn't get drunk in your room, but
I'll catch the next hotel party.
You were definitely in the minority then, because there was a lot of alcohol being consumed there. To the credit of the Necronomicon community, there was a lot of alcohol consumed. Nobody spilled a single drink.
Nice.
Wow, that's impressive.
I mean, that tells you what kind of a mature, classy crowd Necronomicon is. Have a room full of drunks.
Not only do we not spill the drink, no good.
Yeah. Well, see, that was my thing. I've turned into a horrible puker in the last decade or so. So I was definitely pacing myself. I didn't want to. I had my T-shirt on and everything. I didn't want to embarrass myself at the party.
That would be. Yeah, that's just. Yeah, it's loud. It's not good. So it's not what any of John's finer moments. That's for sure.
Yeah, and there's been a few.
There's physical evidence.
Unfortunately, there is.
Oh man, it's funny.
Well, on that note.
Yeah. Thank you for participating. It's been a pleasure talking to you, sir.
Yes.
It's been wonderful.
We'll have to have you on again. Yep.
Same. And yeah, definitely let me know about Star Frontiers. That's one of my favorites besides D&D, man.
Oh man, what great! And it's all online now. They've got people have scanned all the PDFs and retyped them.
Okay. I have the original box set.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I actually have 2. I picked up another one at a garage sale years ago.
That's the one you use. Yeah, you store the other one in the vault.
Yeah. Well, for the 4 dead people online who still want to play Star Frontiers.
Totally, I'm down, man. That's great.
Well, if you want to come on and do a post Kickstarter wrap up, we're definitely down with something like that too. Or next time.
Give me 2 days to like sleep and regain my.
You regain your energy.
I'll tell you, running a Kickstarter is one of the most grueling, strenuous, stressful things you could ever end up doing. But I'm ready for it. I mean, it's my 4th time, but it's going to be rough. It always is. But the fans the backers have been very generous, so I'm sure it's going to be an amazing month of fundraising for this.
Cool. Yep. Well, definitely.
I'd love to a post Kickstarter recap with you guys. That'd be awesome.
Yeah, sure. Yeah. Just definitely shoot us an email, or obviously anytime you have anything going on that needs to get the word spread out, definitely keep us in mind, and we'll definitely more than willing to have you come back on again.
Yeah. When does the Kickstarter officially end?
The Kickstarter ends, I believe, October. Hold on. I think it's the 12th.
Okay.
We extended it so we get that last weekend. That second weekend in October. And again, if people really want the most up to date stuff, just like us on Facebook. I'm on there probably once a day, letting people know where we are, what we're doing, what's going on, and we've been releasing sneak peeks and preview links and peeks at the art. So we're pretty active on Facebook, letting fans know what's going on with us.
Okay, cool.
And you're also on the Twitter with Golden Goblin P. Is that what it is?
Yeah. We have we're not as active as Twitter as I should be. I really need to get better with that. But for all the major announcements, we go to we hit Twitter as well.
Cool. Excellent. We'll be able to find you there, and also at GoldenGoblinPress.com. Is that the main site?
GoldenGoblinPress.com. Yep.
All right.
That's where we are.
Cover all the base. You have Instagram, Tumblr.
No, not yet. No Etsy. Nothing like that.
Not yet.
All right, we hit all the major bases, then. That's good.
You're not going to see pictures of my cat on the company page.
Hey, that's me. If it's not pictures of something outside, it's a picture of the cat.
There you go.
Yeah, you can follow me on Facebook for dumb pictures of my cat, but it won't be on the Goblin Press. It won't be on this company page.
Awesome. All right. Man. Well, thanks again for coming on.
Yeah, this is fun.
It's been a pleasure, guys. Look forward to speaking to you in October.
Yes,
excellent,
cool. Excellent.
All right.
This was everyone. Yep. We'll say this was episode 9 of the Legends Tabletop podcast. We had
We're up to 9.
Episode number 9. I think we can get on iTunes now.
We're moving up.
Awesome.
Yeah.
Congratulations.
Thank you. Yeah. Thanks everybody for downloading and listening. Thank you to our one watcher who's on right now. Thank you to Oscar for coming on, and we will catch you guys all on the flip side.
Word.